Everybody, welcome back to Concept Corner, where creativity is key. I'm Xandros.
And I'm Drifter.
And this is part 3 of our discussion on Pokemon Gen 8 for the Switch. And we're in for some more fun. And, well, let's get a little seasonal in here, shall we? That was stupid, I know, but that's the way the intro goes. Excited to talk about this next little bit of fun.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. This one's especially exciting for him.
I spent probably 2 or 3 days writing up more information that I'm even going to talk about in the video because there just isn't room. It's
Maybe. Definitely won't.
It's an idea that is near and dear to my heart and something that I would definitely do if I was allowed to make my own Pokemon game.
And the thing is, it stemmed from one of my ideas.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about time. Time in the Pokemon games is usually limited to a day-night cycle.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing people kind of forget, the day of the week, the month that you're in, the time of year. So why not add a calendar system to your game to keep track of what time of year you're in? What month are you in? Are you in a fall time of the year? Are you in a winter time of the year? Or is it springtime where you're at?
This is something they actually did in Gen 5, but the seasons changed every couple of weeks. Instead, we'd like to see an actual living calendar where if it's May 1st in the real world, it's May 1st in the Pokemon world too.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 12 a.m. in the real world, it's 12 a.m. in the Pokemon world as well. Bring back the clock bring back the clock function that we've been using and that we've toyed with a little bit in Sun and Moon, but expand upon that.
I mean, the point is, the Switch has a built-in clock. And you can, I think correctly, it has a calendar system.
Yes.
So it tells you what day of the day of the month and year it is. So why not use that functionality within the game? It just automatically connects to it.
There are games on the market already that do this. Animal Crossing comes to mind as a great example of this, where certain bugs and fish and certain festivals and events and different things happen throughout the day. Shops open and close at certain times, and there are certain things that are only available to do during certain times of the year.
Now, we're not saying we're closed down Pokemon centers and shops at night or that. That's not what we're saying.
No.
What we're talking about is adding more flair to the world around you. For instance, like we were talking about a second ago, festivals.
Mm-hmm.
As mentioned, like with Animal Crossing, there's little festivals that happens at certain times. Maybe it's for a week, maybe it's only for a day, once a year. What we would like to do is every month, a different city in the game has a festival. Maybe 1 or 2 of them do. And you can go there and have a little bit of fun.
Just something to kind of highlight what that city is all about, what the people there do.
That bit of culture.
How they, their culture, how they specialize in things. If there's a city on the dock, maybe it's a fishing tournament that they have. Maybe it's just a festival honoring, water-type Pokemon. Or that sort of trade. You can bring in little mini games and stuff that are common in American festivals and Japanese festivals. There's the little fishing games. Here in this area in Ohio, we have a game where you can win pet goldfish by throwing ping pong balls at little jars with water in them. That they lands in the jar, you win a fish. Just silly little festivals and silly little side mini games to do. Just in your Pokemon journey to break up the monotony and to give you a reason to come back after you've already beat the game.
Because the best part about the festivals is that there's exclusive items that only show up that time. Customization items for your clothing. That's not we're not going to get rid of.
T-shirts with the theme on, maybe hats, maybe even silly cosmetic stuff like maybe a Magikarp hat for the fishing tournament.
Little things like that to give you a reason to come back and just enjoy some atmosphere, because atmosphere is important in a Pokemon game or any game in general. And I think the festivals are a good way to make you more inclined to remember a city. Mm-hmm. Well, it's like, I don't remember the name of the city, but it's the one that had the thing around dragons.
Yeah, where was that place that had the fire festival where you went in there and you got to play with with the fire juggler and this and that, and just silly little frills. It doesn't have to be any of these ideas. It could be something brand new and unique.
Or even just like little mini tournaments. You have fun. You can do a little challenge. You get like a nugget out of it, mm-hmm. or a certain kind of hard to get item. Little things like that to make it interesting and to make the world feel alive. Especially that every month would have a festival somewhere, at least 1 or 2 of them at some point. So it gives you a reason to go back. It gives you a reason to come back and play the game throughout the year.
And it could be an interesting way of introducing people to different festivals and different holidays that aren't celebrated necessarily in their time of the year. I know that Animal Crossing introduced me to a lot of interesting festivals from around the world. That if you went into a person's village that's from that region, you could play with a Canadian person and get involved in their Boxing Day. There were boys and girls days from Japan, and Animal Crossing had those type of festivals. So this could be a good way of introducing Pokemon players to some festivals from around the world.
Oban and stuff like that from
Mhm.
Japan, or maybe from other festivals like from the Scandinavian areas, for instance.
You could have the running of the Tauros to celebrate the running of the bulls from Spain. Just silly little things like that. It's a little mini event that you get to take part in, and
Mhm.
just any kind of fun little frill to add a bit of flavor and add a bit of culture to the game world.
And there would be actual physical changes to the cities you go to.
Mhm.
They would look a little different. There'd be new decorations, or like the Run of the Tauros, for instance, was an idea. You can have just a bunch of Tauros running around a little pin area that isn't there normally. It just gets built up there. It gives you a reason
To come
have fun.
to come back and to visit things and to check out the decorations and just take part in some mini games and have yourself a grand old time.
And what we're talking about the seasons that you got so excited about was Pokemon availability.
Mhm.
Take it away.
There's an idea from Animal Crossing that I think makes the game amazingly fun, and there's a reason why I still play the Animal Crossing on the 3DS, even though it's 3 or 4 years old now.
Is it only that old? I thought it was older than that. This was before.
There's been two versions of Pokemon. There was one on the DS and then one for the 3DS.
I was saying it was older than X and Y. I thought.
Yeah, it's older than X and Y. I know
So
that.
That's what I'm saying. So it's at least 4 to 5 years.
Well, however old it is, I'm still playing the game. I still enjoy it. I've started collecting amiibos when they did that update for it over there. I mean, it's an amazing feature that keeps me coming back and keeps me interested in playing it. So I thought we could actually bring this to the Pokemon world. We could have Pokemon that are only available during certain seasons. You have a lot of ice-type Pokemon that maybe only show up during the wintertime. You have a lot of floral Pokemon that maybe only show up during the spring and summertime. You've got cicada Pokemon, different bug-type Pokemon like beetles that would potentially show up more commonly during the fall. You can even have Pokemon that show up during certain festivals, are only available to find in the wild during those festivals. Around Halloween, which is a major American holiday, you can have a lot more ghost type Pokemon and spooky Pokemon like Pumpkaboo and Trevenant showing up around the wild in the game world. In addition, we've got a reason to bring back Deerling and Sawsbuck, who haven't been seen, I think, since Gen 5.
If that.
And give them a reason to exist in the world and show off their seasonal forms depending on what season you last played with them in.
And another interesting fact is that brings into the aspect of hibernation and migration.
Mm-hmm. You can start showing that the Pokemon world is a living world where certain bird type Pokemon that aren't quite as cold hardy are going to move away from the regions and migrate out during the winter, and then come back during the spring and summer when plants return, and therefore the bugs that eat those plants return, and therefore the creatures that hunt the insects return. So now you have your migrational birds coming back.
But not only just migration birds from your area of the world, but from other parts of the world, because the seasonal aspect can be used to bring in Pokemon from past regions without having to do Friends of Fire, Safari Zone, or events or something like that.
During the summer, when the temperatures warm up, the waters become warm, perhaps schools of Wishiwashi from the Alola region and Toxapex and these sorts of things start migrating north and appearing in these regions.
Summertime get Masquerade.
Yeah, you could have Masquerain showing up during the summertime. You could have all kinds of Pokemon that makes sense that they would only appear during the summer, like a lot of your fire type Pokemon that are going to try to avoid colder temperatures or even the rainy seasons or the spring. Could be more prevalent during summer. And of course, during the spring when it rains more often, you're probably going to see a lot more of your frog, toad, amphibian type Pokemon. So more of your Politoads, Croagunk, those type Pokemon showing up. You'd have a lot more freshwater Pokemon during spring and summer who aren't going to be around when the rivers get cold and start freezing up in the winter. In addition to that, you've got Pokemon that are going to go into hibernation. Maybe Teddy Ursa only appear in spring and summer, and are actually perhaps more active in the fall when they're hunting more prevalently to build up their bellies for their winter hibernation. It's a good time to bring in Pokemon like Spinda. just silly ideas like that. And you can have Pokemon come in and out during particular seasons to keep it simple, or you can go the full nine how they did in Animal Crossing. You could have Pokemon changing out during on a monthly basis. Say January, you have a lot more ice type Pokemon, but then in February, where it's starting to get a little bit warmer, maybe your Beartic and your Cryogonal start to phase out, and you start seeing newer, more warm, warped, hardy Pokemon begin showing up. And then, of course, in March, you're going to start seeing your budding and your flowering Pokemon start showing up, and even more of your ice types start phasing out. And just have a slow rotation of the available Pokemon in the different regions that are unlocked throughout the year, giving trainers a reason to not only keep playing the game year round, keep coming back to it, keep the competitive scene alive, but you've got reasons to come back to
Discover more in yourself.
yeah, discover more things, and to keep working on that Pokedex. You've got a potential here to have way more Pokemon available in the region than you've ever had before because you have the memory capabilities of the Switch to play with.
Mm-hmm.
We're not limited to just 200 or 300 Pokemon anymore. We could have closer to 500 or 600 Pokemon available.
But I know that some people are thinking here, like, well, wait, that means certain Pokemon are going to be available certain times of the year. Yes!
And this is true. However, there are also ways around that. Say there's a Pokemon you really, really need for your team, but it's the middle of, it's June, and this is an Ice-type Pokemon that's only available in the winter. How on earth do I expect someone to wait that long to get the Pokemon they need?
Weather effects.
This is where weather effects come in. If you've got a Pokemon that knows hail, and they use it, perhaps it changes the weather and it begins hailing, and this coaxes out some of the Pokemon that are only available during the winter.
Now, this is an outside of battle function for weather effects we're talking about here. We're not saying you go into a random battle and it automatically happens outside permanently. No. You can use this like Sweet Scent outside of battle. Use Sunny Day. Use Hail. Use any of them to bring out Pokemon from other seasons. So your summer for using Sunny Day, spring using Rainy Day, Sandstorm could be used to bring out your more rock types and types that are maybe in the wetter areas. You can dry it out a little bit.
Sandstorm could actually be used almost like a repel. Pokemon that are buffeted by a sandstorm and normally don't want to appear and get smacked with that are going to probably remain in hiding. But your ground type Pokemon, your rock type Pokemon, your steel type Pokemon that are immune to it are going to be attracted. Like, wait a minute, I like this. And so it's a way of coaxing those guys to appear. Now there is one problem with using Rainy Day, Sunny Day, and Hail to replicate
The
seasons, and that's you're missing fall. You're
Yeah.
missing autumn, as it's known outside of the U.S. And I'd like to propose an interesting new move to be used inside and outside of battle. In order to get your fall type Pokemon to appear, we've come up with a move we call
Bountiful Harvest.
Bountiful Harvest. What Bountiful Harvest does is it causes the trees to take on their fall appearances, to get those bright colors, those yellows, those reds, those oranges that people really love seeing around. But it also causes your fall type Pokemon to begin appearing in battle. When you use Bountiful Harvest, you'll start seeing the battlefield change, and it'll take on those fall colors. Your dead leaves will begin blowing throughout the battlefield to kind of indicate, hey, Bountiful Harvest is in effect, and the effect in battle is any healing effect, say, be it from a move like Leech Seed, Giga Drain, Leech Life, things like that, or even Recover, gets a 50% bonus to healing during the 2 to 5 turns that Bountiful Harvest is in effect. You also get a slight bonus healing from, say,
Berries.
using berries as held items, leftovers, or any other passive effect that normally would heal you. You're going to get some kind of a bonus to make that a little bit more effective while that effect is in play, which is a really interesting concept to throw into, say, your defensive stalling Pokemon, or Pokemon like Comfey, Blissey, and Audino that really specialize in support and healing. Here's a neat way of making them or giving them a little bit more to do in competitive battle.
And the best part is, like any other of the weather features or the weather effects, blow away with Airlock.
It can be blown away with Airlock, or negated by Sandstorm, Hail, any of the other weather effects.
Yep, it's not immunity to that, so it does keep the balance in the game. It doesn't hurt too much. It gives a new kind of strategy, and it balances out our weather effect outside of battle use.
Mm-hmm.
So you don't have to worry about not being able to find the Pokemon you want any time of the year. You just gotta fiddle with it a little bit. And the best part is using these in certain areas, in certain ways, unlocks little secret paths.
There might be areas locked off by a shallow lake that you have to use hail to cause to freeze over to get to a secret area behind there. Or perhaps there's an area that's overgrown during most of the year, but during the fall, when the leaves fall away from the trees, it opens up, a hidden path through the woods, and now you can get to a secret area to get hidden items, or maybe some of the legendaries or event Pokemon that hide in these sections. Just neat little things that you can do with the world, and having different reasons to come back during different times of the year, or reasons to come back with a weather effect Pokemon.
Basically, it gives you a reason to have Castform, to be fair.
Castform's going to be very useful this generation, just as your weather control, a nice all-around hunting Pokemon.
Oh, yeah. And that's what we're looking at, is to really bring about the usefulness, the replayability. We want to keep the intrigue and the interest.
We want to seriously extend the life of the game. One of the problems that Sun and Moon has had up to this point is that there was a serious drop-off in player connectivity, player activity. Anyone who's been trying to battle the battle spot has seen that. It's getting harder and harder these days to get a battle.
And the battle with anyone that's not using Garchomp.
Well, that's more of a meta balancing issue.
I know,
there.
but that's still the point of the matter is.
So tired of seeing Garchomp.
But the point is, people aren't playing except the real hardcore
Mm-hmm.
when it comes to online battles. People might still be playing the game, but they're not playing it with other people.
But if
outside their friends.
there's a strong enough post game, if there's still enough interest in the game year round, and to come back again and again, you're gonna have a more vibrant. You're gonna have a more vibrant and active community. Not only in trading on the GTS and the Wonder Trade, but again when it comes to battling for you competitive players out there.
So, yeah, I mean, this was going to be a little shorter of an episode compared to some of the other ones we've done so far. But the point was, we wanted to talk about the calendar and seasons and how that can affect the game. And, interesting ways that the world feels alive. And that's what the power of the Switch brings when we're seeing this big jump to new hardware.
There's something I'd like to tack on.
Oh, is there?
So a lot of these ideas aren't new. The second generation, the originals and the remakes actually had events that happened using the day of the week. There were certain trainers you went and got TMs for that you'd find in the world. There were certain Pokemon that only appeared on certain days. There was a Lapras in the cave that only appeared on Fridays, and things like that.
The bug contest.
The bug contest on Saturday, I actually really enjoy that. I'm currently farming that in my re-release of Pokemon Gold, so I can try and get the Sunstone that I need, and just all kinds of fun like that. Just little things that happen throughout the week. There could even be specialty shops that are only available during certain weeks or during certain times of the year. These are all things that have been done in the past that can be brought back and do help make this feel like a more living, breathing world.
And that's what's been lacking in the last few games, to be fair. What do you think? Does this sound like a lot of awesome ideas, or do you think we're just kind of, blowing smoke and it's really not important? Leave a comment down below. Let us know. Maybe you have some ideas we didn't think of.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not omniscient. We don't know everything, and we can't think of everything. So help us out. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and check out the previous 2 episodes, and check out the next few, because we're halfway through now.
We're halfway through, but we still have a lot more to talk about.
Oh boy, dude.
This subject was near and dear to our heart, and we spent probably weeks talking about just festivals that we could have happen, new Pokemon that could show up during certain times of the year and might come and go. If you have any ideas on that, feel free to share it with the community in the comments, or start a conversation on Twitter.
Yeah.
This is a subject that we've had a lot of fun talking about, and definitely want to see the community talking about. So feel free to carry on the conversation.
So that's it for episode 3. We'll see you for the next one. I'm Xandros.
And I am Drifter.
And we'll see you next time. Bye, guys.
Peace.